recapping Super Bowl 56. The Rams won it at
The
home,
Rams.
home stadium,
Oh man.
24-20. Wait, was it 23-20 or 20?
No, it's
23-20.
23-20.
My
It was
bad.
23-20.
23-20.
Same difference. It's fine.
That was a classic game. That was a
Yeah.
classic game.
I don't think we're gonna forget about this Super Bowl for a long time.
No.
You know, how the 2017 Super Bowl with the Eagles, we're still talking about that today. I think it's gonna be similar kind of vibe with this game.
There's some. I don't know if this was the best game I've seen, but this was up there. This was one of the best
This was
games.
probably from like a fan, right? 2017. I know I just talked about that, but like there was no defense whatsoever. It was just offense, like Nick Foles and Tom Brady battle. In every other game, it's just been a blowout or really boring. It was too much defense. In Super Bowl 53. This game was the perfect mix of great offense and great defense. Or not great offense, but good enough offense to where you're like engaged with it. And
I think the best Super Bowl that I've watched was Super Bowl 49. That was the Patriots Seahawks.
Well, I didn't watch that one, so.
But this was like a poor man's version of that game in terms of the quality of play wasn't as high. I don't think I'll be honest. I think this was a pretty weak year of NFL teams. So I'm not even sure if we got the two best teams in the league, but they were the two best teams when it mattered, and the Rams were the better team when it mattered. And congrats to the Rams. They went all in. This was their year. It started from over a year ago now with the Stafford trade, going into the Von Miller trade, the Odell move. They just went all in.
You can trace it all the way back to the Jalen Ramsey move if you want.
The Jalen Ramsey move, yep.
Which he didn't play very good in this game.
They went all – yeah, but he's been a big part of their season.
Yeah, I know.
They've went all in on this team. They've went all in.
They've paid everyone
this year. I mean, just quickly, and we're not going to – unless you want to give way too early predictions for next year's Super Bowl.
No. I can tell you this. I guarantee the Raiders won't be in that Super Bowl. That's one team.
Yeah, I'll guarantee the Falcons
don't
make it out
team. Two teams we know aren't going to be in the Super Bowl.
Niners may make it.
Niners have somewhat of a chance. But we're not talking about the Niners right now.
Okay,
Rams just won the Super Bowl.
This was a great game for the Rams. I thought, Sean McVay definitely did not have his best coaching job today.
Oh, jeez.
But he did win the Super Bowl. I think he's the youngest.
1.6 yards per carry on the ground.
1.9. He's the youngest. He's the youngest coach to win a Super Bowl in NFL history.
Really?
You got to give him that credit.
Isn't John Madden the guy before him?
Yeah, and Matthew Stafford. I think that's the big story here. I know he wasn't the best player in the game, but
he won. I don't care.
He was in Detroit. First of all, I don't think either interception was really necessarily his fault.
No.
The first one was basically an arm punt where he just threw it to the back of the end zone.
Van Jefferson didn't do a good job on that.
Yeah, Van Jefferson should have done a better job.
If he was put in the right position, like if he configured himself in the right position, I know OBJ makes that catch. I know Calvin Johnson makes that pass. I know a really good jump ball receiver makes that catch. But he didn't even play DB on that. Like he didn't even knock it down.
And then the second one was like deflected. That
one was just tossed up in the air. Cooper Kupp got this hand on the ball. He should have caught the ball. I mean, that was just bad luck.
Was that Kupp? That was some white guy.
That was Kupp.
But Stafford played well when he needed to play well. He had
Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp.
He
caused an interception.
He on that final drive, he made the right reads, he made the right throws. He could have easily, without his best receivers, just kind of folded.
Jared Goff would have folded.
But we see, the difference between Matt Stafford and Jared Goff without everything working. One of them can kind of get off with their raw ability and performance as a player, and the other one can't. They just need everything to be working for them to perform.
Yep.
Rams couldn't run the ball at all. They could not run the ball at all.
I don't know why. They just kept insisting that running the ball was the right move. I don't know if it was because Stafford got injured and they're like, we got to take some stuff off him. I don't know if it was I don't know. It was so weird because it was Stafford
and they were doing it
here.
multiple, like
Stafford
first
was
down
out
runs,
there
second down runs.
playing amazing. I thought he played really good.
Who?
I think those 2 interceptions were just
You
2
thought Stafford played really
good
well?
plays. I mean,
I don't know if he played really well.
I
Maybe
thought
that's
the third quarter was iffy. Like, oh, that's not great.
he played really
good.
well in the first half.
I thought he was like unstoppable in the first half. It just felt like he always made the right read, and he always knew when someone was going to be open. He put the right amount of air on the ball, whatever. It just felt like he was always going to get a completion.
Mitch is going live, by the way, very soon. So.
Oh really? Oh, we're competing with Mitch.
Yeah. Come watch us over Mitch. We're better than him. But Matt Stafford had a good game. Cooper Kupp, Super Bowl MVP.
I think Aaron Donald should have gotten it.
8 catches, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Made what I thought every single big play in this game was Cooper Kupp. After Odell
OBJ before he got injured too.
Yeah, after Odell got hurt. And it's a fitting end to what has been one of the most dominant and consistent wide receiver seasons in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts?
I mean, can we? I mean, it's just Cooper Kupp, bro. Like, I don't know what it is with this guy. He just does things. Like, he just gets open. I can't explain it. I really can't. But like, he gets his hand around the ball, like he's gonna catch it. And when he gets his hand on the ball, he's usually like wide open. Like, he's just wide open. I don't know what it is.
He's a lot like Devontae Adams in a lot of ways.
That is true. It does feel like the same thing, except he's not as tall and he's not as black. But yeah, but yeah. Cooper Kupp, we talked about in this game, Jamar Chase to Joe Burrow, or Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase. What really won this game was Stafford to Cooper Kupp, right?
Yeah.
We talked about how that was going to be the thing that won the Bengals the Super Bowl, but it didn't.
Won the Rams the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I thought Tyler Boyd had a pretty good game. I wasn't expecting him to have a good game or necessarily a great game, but I thought he had a pretty good game.
He had just a killer drop at the end of the game.
Yes, that was very sad.
Odell Beckham is now a Super Bowl champion, 2 catches, 52 yards.
Antonio Brown and freaking Odell just won the Super Bowl back-to-back years.
Odell deserves it. It.
No, I know, but the diva thing.
Antonio Brown doesn't deserve it.
Antonio
Brown does not deserve a thing.
No, he doesn't. But do you know the stigma diva receivers don't win Super Bowls?
That's
it's starting to wear off a little bit now.
Really, it's always been dumb because Odell has not done anything south of kicking like a kicking net or whatever. I don't know what he did.
No,
he hasn't done anything bad in 5 years. It's stupid.
The big thing that put OBJ on the board as a diva was when he freaking posted that picture of the boat. I think that was.
But Lenny, that was 5 years ago.
No, I know. I'm just saying that's what everyone. That's the stigma, though. That's what.
But people have to stop with this. This has genuinely annoyed me.
OBJ's a really good dude now. I mean, he probably was even before that, but he was a little cocky about it. I don't care. It was stupid to say.
The guy had Eli Manning, not even 2011 Eli. He had washed up Eli.
This was
Giants don't. Baker Mayfield. The guy had Baker Mayfield.
This was for Giants. It was you won 2 Super Bowls for us. We'll let you play as long as you want.
Pretty much.
Until Daniel Jones came along. But let's talk. You want to talk about Sean McVay for a sec?
Sure. You can go ahead.
So I thought whenever they did a passing play, every single schematic wise, he'd just get people in the right position to make a play to whatever. That OBJ touchdown, he led the 2 corners and the safety all the way around for the play to one-on-one with what's his name? With the Cooper Kupp touchdown, even at the end, he set up the one-on-one with Eli Apple. There was a bunch of moments where I watched it and I'm like, wow, that's a great job by Sean McVay. But his situational play calling was garbage. I'm sorry, but you can't just run the ball.
It was awful
every single time.
It was a joke.
His situational play calling.
It was the inverse of a Kyle Shanahan game.
Yeah,
plan.
I mean, I get mad at Shanahan for passing the ball too much. He ran the ball way too much. I mean,
you gotta. These coordinators don't know how to just watch what Belichick does in these games.
It felt like Sean McVay was playing to not lose like he did in 2019.
Lenny, the guy has a fucking baller. I'm gonna say a baller at quarterback. He doesn't have
No, I
Jared
know.
Goff.
Didn't it
I
feel
don't
like
know why
that?
he's so scared.
I think it felt like that, right? He didn't want to lose again. He didn't want to lose again. I think that's what it felt like, right?
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I've
that's what I thought. That's what I looked at it. That's what I thought.
I think I'm gonna let the McVay terrible game plan die in history for now, and just let this moment be positive. By the way, did you see the Aaron Donald is considering retirement?
Yes, they talked about in the press conference. I talked with my brother before this.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna retire.
I think there's a possibility because of just because of how climactic the end was, where he basically won the game at the end. He won the game. I mean, that like, do you remember that play where there was 4 rushers on like 3rd down for the Rams and he got triple teamed? Like it was the center and the 2 guards were triple teaming Aaron Donald, and they had 4 rushers.
And honestly, Joe Burrow. We're about to get to Joe Burrow. I thought he played really well in this game, but Joe Burrow was like frustrating him with how quickly he was getting the ball out.
He had that.
It reminded me of a couple years ago, the divisional game between the Patriots and the Chargers, when Tom Brady kept getting the ball out super quick and it was frustrating Joey Bosa. It reminded me of that.
Too.
No, Von Miller just dominated Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean in this game.
Yeah, Von Miller. I don't know if he had his best game. He made plays when he had to.
He did enough.
As usual. He came up big, but just dominance from Aaron. Aaron Donald is still the best football. I mean, he hasn't had his best overall season this year, but he was at his absolute best when his best was needed.
Here, let me ask you a question. With this, if he were to retire today or like in this offseason, whenever, he just didn't play an offensive or defensive snap after this, right? Where are you ranking him all time defensively? Where are you ranking him? 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Super Bowl appearances, led this league in sacks like a couple times, freaking Super Bowl champion now. I mean, like the resume with this guy.
I think it's LT 1, Reggie White 2. I think Aaron Donald has a case for like that 3rd spot.
I think Ray Lewis right now is probably
look. I'm not really talking overall defense because I think that's hard. I'm just talking like interior defense, like defensive line.
Oh, D lineman. Oh, okay.
I think he has a case for 3rd all time.
LT counts, I guess, as a linebacker because he was just an edge rusher.
Taylor and White. And honestly, like if he does continue playing, I don't know if either of those guys are necessarily safe.
Do you think?
Because he's still got like 2 more years of high-level production in him.
Is Aaron Donald better than Joe Green officially? Like, are we saying that? I don't know if that's a thing we could say.
Honestly, though, like Joe Green's awesome, obviously, and I'm not. I would be lying if I said I was too familiar with Green because he played 50 years ago. But he did play on a lot of very talented defensive lines too.
Oh, bro, dude had Jack Lambert. He had the freaking steel curtain. I mean,
steel curtain defense. Aaron Donald hasn't had a steel curtain defense. He's been carrying their defensive lines for years.
2018, you could argue maybe.
They were not okay. Look, Lenny, I understand they played really well in the playoffs, but they were not a steel curtain defense in the regular season.
No, I know. The steel curtain defense is gone. Like I said, the closest thing we've had in this generation is probably
like the 15 Broncos, 13 Seahawks.
Yeah, but Aaron Donald, man, God, dude, that guy is just great for him, man.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question.
Oh, go for it.
I'll give you 2. So is Jalen Ramsey overrated?
No, I thought he played good in this game. I know I know it sounds stupid, but let me give out my case, okay? So the first touchdown, I believe, what was it? The first one. It was
the first one was offensive pass interference.
Yes, the first one he got freaking ripped in his face. The reason he didn't make the tackle was because he was trying to sell the face mask. So I'm not going to blame him for that. I know he got burnt a little bit on that. So I'm going to blame him a little bit because obviously he got burnt on it. Like he just did. And that should have been called back. That shouldn't have been a touchdown in the first place. So I'm not going to blame him for that necessarily. I'll give him like 25-75 blame on that. You know what I mean? 75 refs, 25 on Ramsey. And it's not even like he played it bad. It's just he got out physicaled.
To be fair, like the Bengals receivers are also very like sometimes you just got to hold your hand up and say, yeah, he's just teammate.
The other one I remember was Jamar Chase. That one really big one in the beginning.
The 46-yard.
He was all over Jamar Chase. He was all over.
That was just a great throw.
That was just an amazing throw and an amazing catch. I can't blame a corner for playing like that, right? Like, unless there's nothing you can do, right? I mean, it feels like there was nothing he could do there. Like he was just going to get regardless.
I mean, still think like he obviously didn't have his best game, but he at a certain point, I think you've just got to start giving some credit to the guys on the other side. And let's get to the Bengals. I think the Bengals had an outstanding season for sure.
Yes,
they were tied with the Jets for 30th in Super Bowl odds in the beginning of the season. And they were a drive away from winning it.
Man,
so they were leading late in the fourth quarter.
I honestly think this might have been a blowout if OBJ stayed in the game. Like, I really honestly think
maybe.
Because the Rams, the offense was not the Rams. The Rams, yeah, I guess the Rams. The Rams offense was awful without OBJ for the majority of the game. You could tell that the lack of a deep threat. You could tell that the lack of a consistent deep threat. Like I know Van Jefferson's good.
Yeah, well, the problem I also thought the Bengals got a lot of pressure.
They did. It was it made
the Bengals defensive line played really well, I thought, and the
Reader had a really good game. Logan Wilson played the
Trent
best.
Hendrickson had a good game.
Logan Wilson had the best game of his life.
Logan Wilson had a great game outside of that one PI.
I don't think I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever said, "Hey, there's Logan Wilson" that many times.
Logan Wilson's been good this year. He was good against the Titans. He's had a good year. All right, Lenny. Here's my other question to you.
One PI in the red zone.
Is Matthew Stafford a Hall of Famer?
Heck no. He has one Pro Bowl. He doesn't even have an All-Pro. He's not even eligible.
Will he
eligible to make the Hall of Fame?
All right. So say he plays 5 more years.
Okay.
And he has he may say he doesn't even win another Super Bowl. Say he gets to really 2 or 3 more Pro Bowls, 2 more NFC Championship games, has consistent winning, and he's top 5 all time in passing yards and pass touchdowns.
I think that's pretty a fair
I think he probably gets in at that point.
I think he gets in eventually. I think it takes a while.
I think he will get in eventually, unless his career falls off.
Dude, I don't even know if Sean McVay is going to be coaching this team next year. I'm not going to say
McVay's going to be back.
I just remember that thing that was rumors about Sean McVay not coming back. I don't know if Aaron Donald's going to be on this team. I don't know.
Okay, but his agent said later, a few hours before the game, that he would be back next season.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Aaron Donald, I don't know.
Robert Woods, I'm glad that he's got a Super Bowl too, because he had a great year this year. He's been really good with the Rams ever since they drafted him. Good for him to get it. I mean,
who?
Robert Woods.
Oh yeah, Robert Woods.
Everyone forgot that he existed, bro. I don't think I've heard his name.
If they had Robert Woods in this game, maybe they may have blown them out too.
Bro, if the Rams had Robert Woods throughout this entire playoff run, I don't think it would have been a 1-score game for any of these games. I'm going to be completely honest. Maybe the Bucs game, maybe, because Tom Brady's Tom Brady. But I don't know, bro. I mean, Robert Woods.
Let's be honest, the Rams let the Bucs come back in that game.
Exactly.
More than the Bucs actually fought their way back. They fumbled twice. It was just the stupidest mistakes, and they still ended up winning the game.
Why is Cam Akers? Why did he play? I don't even know.
The entire run. Look, Michelle was barely played. Henderson barely.
I guarantee Michelle would have played better, bro. Every single time I watched Henderson, it felt like he played better than freaking what's his name, than Cam Akers. He's clearly not healthy. I'm glad that he came out. A great story, but dude, he almost.
All right, so do you want to kind of recap the Rams season, and then we can get to the Bengals here?
Yeah, so let's do it. Sounds cool.
Okay. All right, so let me go through the Rams season.
I think
through this real quick.
In September, didn't they lose all 4 of their games? Or not? Wait, no, it was November. It was November. They lost all in November.
Okay, so this team. Okay, so they entered the year 4th in Super Bowl odds, which is actually pretty high. A lot of people were high on them before the year.
Yeah, a lot of media.
They destroyed the Bears on Sunday Night Football Week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big statement game for them was the Week 3 game against Tampa Bay when they really manhandled the Bucs.
Yes.
I think that kind of puts some of like the people that were doubting them into like okay, this team might actually be legit. Like this team may actually be a Super Bowl contender.
It was definitely like, wow, this team could really do something. Like I wasn't like sure yet. Like I was
I had them. I think I had them in the NFC divisional round. I think. We were both kind of like, yeah, they'll be pretty good, but we don't think they'll be.
I was on the like opinion that the Bucs were going to beat them or the Niners were going to beat them in the divisional. That was my opinion. I figured that the Bucs were going to be healthy and the Niners just owned the Rams. That was just what my.
And then they got the next week though. They lost by 37-20 to Arizona.
Oh yeah, that's when
when Arizona was really playing well.
That's the game we thought Arizona was the big.
Yeah, then we were like, okay, maybe Arizona's actually legit too.
Yeah,
and then they won a couple games, beat the Seahawks, beat the Texans, and then here's where November kicks off. So November 7th,
here we go.
Sunday Night Football. They lose to the Titans 28-16. This is without Derrick Henry, by the way. We're like, okay, and they signed Odell around this time. And they traded for Von Miller, so it's like, okay.
Dude, remember when people were saying Odell was the problem after they lost like 2 games, bro? Like,
and then they went to San Francisco on a Monday night, lost 31-10. It was horrendous.
Niners.
And then they had a bye week. Then they went to Lambeau and they lost 36-28, which flattered them.
In hindsight, that was a schedule, right? I mean,
so but 7-4 winless in November.
They were
bad sign, and I think a lot of people were like doubting them after that point. Like
at that point, I didn't think they were going to do anything.
2.5 months ago, I don't think many people thought the Rams would win the Super Bowl.
I didn't think they get past the divisional. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
They beat I think when people started earning some faith back in them was when they beat the Cardinals Monday night.
Yeah, that was big. That was
I think people were like, okay, this team still has all the talent. Like they can make a run.
They're not like terrible, but they're still not like Super Bowl contenders or
anything. And then you remember at the end of the year, Stafford was like throwing all these interceptions.
I do. That was.
And then they blew that lead to the Niners in overtime, and it's like, okay, how legit is this team? Right? Because they can't beat the Niners. Stafford's struggling. You know, I don't know.
The playoffs, like historically or whatever, that was the thought. I definitely. Me at the time, I was definitely not like believing the Rams were going to do a lot. My opinions on the Rams going into that game was kind of the same. It was actually the same I did at the beginning of the year. I was like, either they're going to lose to Tampa Bay or they're going to lose to the Niners. That was like the thought I had. Did Ultra die? I don't know. Maybe he died. I guess so. Well, it's time for the Preston show, the Lenny show. Okay, so after the Rams and Week 17, you know what they did? They went all the way down to Arizona in a home game. And everyone thought the Cardinals were going to walk in there with Kyler Murray and J.J. Watt coming back off his pectoral injury. And everyone thought that the Rams were just going to walk in there. I don't think everyone thought they were going to lose. I think most people thought they were going to not do great. I thought it was going to be like a 50-50. I remember it being a 50-50 matchup for them. The Rams just destroyed them. That was at the point where I was like, okay, the Rams could really do something here. But first they got to get past Tom Brady. I knew like whoever was going to win the Super Bowl this year, I was fairly confident it was either going to be the Bucs or whoever beat the Bucs. That's what I thought the thought was. I don't remember exactly because, you know, I mean, we're like post bias here, so I'm not exactly sure. But as soon as they went to Tampa Bay, I meant this thing, right? I'm on Discord. I made this post that was like, I had 2 things. John Gruden was going to have a winning record. This was in like February, like after the Super Bowl. And the Rams weren't going to make it past the second round with Matthew Stafford. So at this point, I was kind of like, well, Tom Brady's going to win the Super Bowl like he always does. You know, Bucs are going to win. They're going to go back to the Super Bowl. They're going to win again. They're going to have to play whoever. And then they won. And then I was like, whoa, this team, man. Oh, geez. I really think this team could do something. What happened with your shirt, bro? This man's shirt just got destroyed.
It's horrendous right now.
What?
My internet was horrendous. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, I just went through the Cardinals
I
game
don't
and
know
how
why my
basically
shirt's coming off me.
so I just went through the Cardinals game and talked about how it was a 50-50 matchup in that game. Like no one really knew exactly who was going to win. There
Oh
was no,
yeah. That game was Mitch actually picked Arizona to win the game,
he did, even though I've made a whole
which
video
in
about it.
hindsight looks like the worst prediction of all time.
Oh yeah, no, like he looks
Like
stupid.
you aren't seeing like Lenny and Mitch just made a Stafford video. You aren't seeing many clips of that in it.
Yeah.
But they
Basically,
destroyed. Once they destroyed Arizona, I kind of felt like, okay, this team may actually be legit,
yeah.
and like Stafford may actually be legit. He got the monkey. I think that game was actually really important for them. I think Stafford got kind of
earlier too.
Like Stafford kind of got the monkey off his back with the playoffs and all of that. The defense was awesome in the game. Aaron Donald, Von Miller.
What was it? Do you remember the pick six that Kyler Murray threw? It was like 2 yards.
Kyler Murray played like Seneca Wallace.
He looked terrible. Wait. I just one side note, right? I can't believe Kyler Murray is trying to frame it like his team set him up for success or didn't set him up for success, which is true. They didn't.
But he sucked in the playoff. I don't get.
He was terrible. He was awful. He was just like there was no game plan was going to save him that day. I'm sorry. Bill Walsh would have like
Kyler Murray. Why do I have the same feeling about Kyler Murray at the end of every year?
That's facts, honestly. All right. Anyway,
okay.
Now so basically what I said is when they went to Tampa Bay, I talked about how I had the thing the Rams aren't going to make it past the divisional round in like February. And I was thinking, well, the Bucs are going to do what Tom Brady always does, and they're going to make the Super Bowl, right?
This is a quote from Lenny, by the way. He literally said Brady's luck is undefeated.
It's kind of true. It's a little true. Okay, but we're not talking about Tom Brady. Rams just won the Super Bowl. But anyway, my thought going into it was like, yeah, the Rams are good, but Tom Brady always wins anyway. And then the Rams won anyway. And I was like, well, oh, geez.
I kind of felt, I know I picked the Bucs. I kind of felt like the Rams would win once Wirfs, like it was confirmed he was out of the game.
I didn't see that report. Like
it was, we all made predictions before it was official, but like when I saw him out of the game, I was like, yeah, I think the Rams probably win. And they were, it was one of the weirdest games of all time, honestly.
28-3 without the end, basically.
It was like the Rams were dominating, and then the Rams just completely gave it away, and then they finally snatched it back at the very end.
It's kind of like, it's like they won the game, and they're just like, we're done.
I did kind of feel like after that play, they'd win the Super Bowl. It just kind of felt meant to be.
Okay, so as a Niners fan, when I had to see that we got to play the Rams, you know this, Ultra. I wasn't excited.
You weren't exactly excited.
I was not excited at all. I was like, well, we got this far. Most Niners fans were like, yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl.
Honestly, in hindsight, I think you probably would have rather played the Bucs given the injuries.
I think in hindsight, we probably would have. The thing that got me with like preseason and just in general was the Bucs run defense was going to be tough to beat. You know what I mean? But like in hindsight, the Rams run defense against us in the NFC Championship game was probably just as good as the Bucs would have been. So it would have been great not to have Jalen Ramsey on the other side of the field. So
that was a really tough game. Like you could feel that some of the intensity of the Rams-Niners game. The Rams kind of dominated the fourth quarter, though.
Yes.
And that was ultimately where the game was won. And then you look at the Super Bowl. Rams started off hot.
I got to add one thing real quick.
Okay.
Well, when the Rams beat Tampa Bay, part of the reason I thought the Niners were going to lose, I said this in if you go back when we previewed the game, I was like, it just feels like the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. It just felt like. I don't know if you had that feeling. Too. I don't know if you had that feeling, but for me, it was like they just beat Tom Brady in the playoffs.
Whenever you beat Tom Brady, you feel like you're special team.
Well, it's like for the Niners, right? The Rams have been like the monkey on their back for like the last 3 years. It's been like, oh God, not the Niners. Like it was always the stigma, like, oh, we got to play the Niners this week. Like it was a guaranteed thing. And it just felt like the storyline was like concluding. You know what I mean? Like in a book or whatever.
The Rams just needed to. It was like Georgia and Alabama. The Rams just needed to win one of the games.
Yeah,
at a certain point.
Yeah, Niners were like, we got Trey Lance, we'll be fine. You know,
the Niners were just like, okay, we're just happy to be here. You know.
Yeah, it felt like it for me as a fan. I was like, man,
like Lenny. I think after like the Cowboys game was like, okay, I'm content with how the season goes.
Yeah. I was like, if we play the Rams or the Green Bay Packers, well, fine. I'm cool with that. But like, as soon as we beat the Packers, I was like, okay, there's no way that we go any farther, bro. There's no way, right? Like, that's what it felt like.
And then the Bengals game, they were dominating the game early. Odell went out of the game. The Bengals kind of had a stretch there where they were kind of pulling away. And then the Rams, there was a lot of punts, a lot of sacks.
Johnny Hekker actually had a really good game.
Yeah.
Johnny Hekker.
And so did the Bengals punter. What's the Bengals punter's name? He had a good game, too.
I don't know. I know Evan McPherson. That's about it.
McPherson was
He tied Justin Tucker's, like, singles
playoff
record, bro. It's crazy.
Kevin Huber had a good game.
Yeah, he played good, too.
Johnny Hekker had 3 punts inside the 20.
Yeah, he was really good.
But the Rams had the drive. It was Stafford and Kupp. That's just ultimately was too tough to stop.
I think this was like, if we're talking about a storybook ending, I think this is the best you can ask for, honestly.
And look, this game was really even.
It was even for the most
really
of the game.
Even. Just looking at the stats, first downs, Rams had 18, Bengals had 15. Wow. Total yards, Rams had 313, Bengals had 305.
Wow. That's
yards per play, Rams 4.7, Bengals 5.
That's
yards, just time of possession, Rams 30 minutes, Bengals 29. So it was completely even, ultimately.
So we talked about, I think last week, special, right? Like, special wins games in the playoffs. I think this was the same thing here, right?
Yeah, the pass rush.
Like the special pass rush.
Aaron Donald.
The special connection between Stafford and Kupp, right? Yeah. I mean,
and in a weird way, the specially bad offensive line of the Bengals.
True. That is true. That is technically true.
All right, Lenny, let's get to the losing team, because a lot of the times people just talk about the win. Like we've both experienced this. People only like to talk about the winning team in these situations.
Man, why did you do this to us?
Kyle Shanahan, whatever Shanahan, just move on from him.
All right,
Joe Burrow, I thought he played his off tonight. I thought he was great, honestly.
Can't ask anything better than Joe Burrow.
He missed a couple throws early, but outside of that, I can't criticize him. He didn't put the ball in harm's way. No. He was under pressure all night long.
He had 7 sacks or something. It would have been 8 if
33 for 263 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 101.0 rating. Good game. Joe Mixon actually threw a touchdown too. So congrats.
I legitimately thought the Bengals were going to win the Super Bowl when I saw that play. I thought that was going to be their Philly special, but now it's their Philly now.
I told you. Did I not tell you before the game? These underdog teams, they play free. They have all these
play calls. No, you are right. I think Zach Taylor definitely pulled out a couple.
Zach Taylor pulled Deshaun Payton and Doug Peterson.
Oh, dude, do you remember the Cooper Kupp that reverse play?
Yeah, that was such a bad throw.
That was all-time Super Bowl call right there on 4th and 1. I mean,
it was a lot like Super Bowl 52 with the except instead of Brady dropping the pass, it was just a horrible throw from Kupp.
That was terrible throw. I was like, bro, you didn't even give him a chance. But yeah, let's talk about the Bengals. They started the year off. Who'd they play? The Vikings. They beat them by 3. In that game,
we thought the Vikings would be really good.
I thought the Vikings were going to be really good, and then I was
idiots, the pair of idiots on the set right now. We thought they would be really good, and the Bengals beat them. And honestly, we were dishonest by our takeaway was, okay, the Vikings are a disaster instead of, okay, the Bengals might be good, because the next week they lost the Bears. Lost the Bears, Lenny.
Yes, they did lose to the Bears week 2. Which I don't think anyone cares anymore. I mean, it was week 2. with the extra season. We talked about this. I don't know if it was on the bottom line or even on here, but it feels like so long ago. No one even cares, bro.
They beat the Jags by 3.
3 points.
They then lost to the Packers in overtime.
That game, they should have won that game, bro. That was so stupid. Let's talk about
Packers did miss
we're gonna talk about this for a second, bro. Evan McPherson, I know you're awesome, but how do you miss all those kicks, bro?
Okay, but Mason Crosby missed like 3 kicks too, to be fair.
They both missed a bunch of kicks. That was the worst kicking game.
Crosby just hit the Crosby was just useful enough.
Adam Vinatieri, bro, he must have been crying. He was
Justin Tucker was They both did their best Mike Vanderjagt impression in the playoffs. I think
in hindsight, we watched the Packers game. That's the game we knew that the Bengals could be legit. That was like when we're like, okay.
And I think the game where we really kind of learned something about them was the Ravens game, where they just the first Ravens game where they just kicked their ass, 41-17. Jamar Chase had 200 yards, just dominant.
Yes. That was also the game where we were like, okay, these Bengals could be really good. I remember they started 5-2, right?
They were 5-2, the number 1 seed. Then they lost to the Jets, and then they got blown out by the Browns.
That's right, dude. Everybody was a Bengals fan for that 1 week, bro. They were 5-2, and everyone was like, "Bengals are so good, they're gonna win the division," which they did win. But like, I just
lose to the Jets, and it's
wasn't it Mike White? Oh no, was it the Mike White game? Wasn't it the Mike White game?
I think so.
Yeah. Mike White just went ham on them, bro. And then every single Bengals fan is like, "Oh, well, I remember this feeling. Andy Dalton made me feel like this."
Mike White was 37 of 45,
yeah, I was totally
405 yards and 3 touchdowns. I was
totally sold on the Bengals. And then they went out there and just lost to the Jets. And then you looked at it and you're like, okay, they lost to the Bengals. I know, the Browns, I mean. They lost,
not only did they lose, they lost 41-16 to the Browns.
They lost to the Browns, the Bears, and then the Jets. And then I was like, okay, this team sucks. I'm sorry.
They were 5-4. They then had dominating wins over the Raiders and Steelers.
The Bengals were really inconsistent this year. And then
the Chargers game was super weird, to be honest, because the game was close and the Chargers kind of pulled away in the fourth quarter.
It felt like it was a blowout, and then it wasn't a blowout, and you're like, "Oh, Bengals could get in," and then they
So if you just take the first quarter score and the fourth quarter score, the Chargers won the game 33-0. For the rest of the game,
oh my god!
For the rest of the game, the Bengals won 22-8. So
yeah, I think. Like, just general view, like, I'm just piecing this together. I wasn't like a Bengals fan this year. I didn't watch a lot of their games, but it felt like they were just a very inconsistent team that didn't know what they were yet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Young coach.
Okay, so the Niners game, take me through that.
The Niners game, against the Bengals, man, that was like forever ago, feels like.
It went to overtime. The Niners were
right.
up.
Okay, so it was a really close game, I think, the whole time, and then we got to
the Niners were up 20-6.
Oh no! Okay, I'm sorry. I'm shoddy memory. Yes, we started the game in the first 3 quarters just like beating the absolute crap out of the Bengals. I remember we were like physically outplaying them. Jimmy Garoppolo.
I remember Lenny was saying maybe Shanahan isn't a Matt Ryan product.
No. I was thinking like, dude, this is just sad. Like we're beating the crap out of the Bengals. And then I looked at the score. Right, the Bengals got the ball. It was 20-6. Right, and I'm like, oh, geez, that's only like 14 points. I remember I was like, that's only 14 points. And then they tied the game. Wow, what a surprise. And then, so basically they only played good in 1 quarter. In the other 3 quarters, they played terrible.
Yet somehow against the Niners, it was enough to get.
But I do remember Jimmy Garoppolo having a really good game in the fourth quarter. And
Jimmy G was actually playing well.
Jimmy Garoppolo, I think that's the most clutch outside of maybe the Drew Brees Jimmy Garoppolo game in 2019. I think that's the most clutch.
The Rams game, the second Rams game.
Oh, yes, that he was really clutch in that game. But yeah, he was amazing in that fourth quarter. I will never forget the way he played. He almost threw an interception to Jesse Bates, though. I remember he almost threw an interception to Jesse Bates.
He does that every game. He tries to throw an interception.
I don't understand. I don't know how he does it, bro. He throws so many almost picks. Oh, we're good. Oh, no, we're good. And then,
but did you learn anything about the Bengals?
I learned in that game. I thought they were overrated at that point. I was like, okay, they just got their ass kicked for 3 quarters. And then the Niners being the Niners just let them back in the game because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are really good. That's all I learned. I was like, I just thought Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were awesome, and that was
Okay,
it.
then they get to week 16. They destroyed Baltimore. Remember, Joe Burrow had broke like all these sorts of
That's right.
franchise records. Then the Chiefs game, the first Chiefs game. This is when
Oh,
the hype train really kicked
yep.
off.
Yep.
They beat the Chiefs 34-31. Burrow and Chase went off.
Yes, that was
It
amazing.
was a little bit of a precursor to what we saw in the playoffs,
Well,
but
it was pretty close.
a
I'd say.
little bit, not quite yet, but and people were like, okay, maybe the Bengals are legit.
When they beat the Chiefs, I was in the same mindset I was with the Niners. I was like, dude, they got so lucky.
I just felt like they were
dude, on that
they
last
could beat
drive.
anybody, but they weren't good enough to beat everybody, if that makes sense.
I think that's fair. That's a good way of putting it into words. I kind of felt the same way.
That's kind of how I felt all year, to be honest, about them. Like they
I
could
think I
beat
felt that
anybody.
about every single team in the NFL.
No, there were like the Bucks or the Rams. Like there were a couple teams I thought
The
like they
Packers
could
were
go.
one of those teams.
Okay, so they go into the playoffs. They played the Raiders. We both picked the Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders! No. Oh no, the Raiders.
They were up 20-6. They almost blew it. Clutch play defensively to pick off Carr. I think that was that game. That nobody's ever going to mention this game again, but that was actually a pretty important game, I thought.
As a Raiders fan, let me think about this. When I watched that game, I knew we were going to lose. We didn't play good in that game. The Bengals played really good in that game. I thought they played very good,
especially in the first half.
Everyone talks about that freaking stupid whistle thing, but that was going to be a touchdown anyway. They shouldn't even blown the whistle, right? I mean, that should have been a touchdown anyway. I don't care. You know what I mean? I just don't care. That should have been a touchdown. I don't care that he blew the whistle. The play was clean. It looked fine to me. But I just thought the Bengals just had a really good performance. I think that was a good confidence builder for them because after beating the Chiefs, right, they're like, okay, we beat the Chiefs. We think we're really good right now, but that's the one team we've beaten at this point. You know what I mean? And then they go out there and beat the Raiders the way they did, win their first playoff game in 30 years or whatever. I think that was the moment that they became the Bengals. Maybe either the Chiefs game or the Raiders game was when they became.
I think the culmination of both games was kind of like they gained a lot of confidence.
Yeah, they realized that what they could do, I think, as a team.
Right.
They just kind of looked at each other and were like, wow, this team we could do something.
All right. So then they go into Tennessee, the number 1 seed in the AFC.
I didn't think they were going to win.
I didn't think they'd win either.
I thought they were going to get their butt kicked. I did.
And
sorry.
Through defensive dominance and through Joe Burrow just being an absolute warrior, through the leg of Evan McPherson, they were able to beat the Titans with a lot of assistance from Ryan Tannehill.
Mm-hmm. I think you see at this time, you start to see this young core start to mold into a real team. You know what I mean? We're a team.
This was the moment that people took them. Not exactly. Everybody. There were still cocky Chiefs fans, but most people took them seriously.
Yes. As soon as they beat the Titans, I was like, man, wow, look at you guys. Look at you guys. You guys didn't win a playoff game 30 years ago. And now you're here. You won 2.
Now it's Lenny's team that has the decade-long drought.
Yeah. We'll get there eventually. Hopefully Josh McDaniels is the guy. But yeah, when they beat the Titans, I watched the game, and I don't know if this is just their whole season, but I don't know. It kind of felt like they would have lost the game if Tannehill didn't play as bad as he did. I don't know what do you think about that?
The Titans outplayed them, to be honest.
Their defense was really good in that game. I remember the Titans.
Tannehill just sold. I'll just be honest. And I thought the Titans' play calling was terrible offensively too.
Yeah, I told you about that freaking Raiders.
Yeah, you were right about that guy.
I told you, bro. He ruined Derek Carr, and I told you he was going to ruin the freaking.
All right. So they go to Arrowhead Stadium.
A lot of credit to the Bengals for that game. They did enough.
They are down 21-3 in the first half. People are like, "Oh, Mahomes is with Brady retiring," because remember Brady retired. Everyone was like, "Okay, with Brady retiring, Mahomes is the new guy." We went from one ruler of the league to the other. Yep. And the Bengals said no. They scored the touchdown, made it 21-10. Then I think the crucial play was the stop at just before halftime, like when Mahomes threw the hill and they tackled him just before he could get into the end zone. I think that was a real.
I was like, okay, so I wasn't watching the whole game. I was listening to a radio from.
I remember, yeah, you told me.
I watched I watched that part on the TV because we went to get lunch or something. We were doing something, I don't remember, but I watched it on the TV and I just like I'm looking at my brother. I'm like, they could win this thing. Like that was huge. Like just the momentum going into the half, right? It felt like it was like, oh geez, they could really turn this around. Like we watched it happen with the Raiders, we watched it happen with the Chiefs before even. We watched it happen with the Titans. I'm like, they could win this game. They got Joe Burrow, they got Jamar Chase. Like this is definitely not over yet.
Yeah. And then they did it. They came back. Yeah. McPherson made some clutch kicks. Burrow made some clutch throws. The defense was, I think, kind of the story of the playoff run. Obviously, Joe Burrow is going to get all the credit, and rightfully so, because he's awesome. But the defense was in all three games. They made the crucial plays. Against the Raiders, they made the game-sealing pick. Against the Titans, they made the interception to set them up for in field goal range to kick the game-winning field goal. And against the Chiefs, they got the sacks to force the Chiefs to a field goal, and then they intercepted Mahomes in overtime. So they made, like, I just went through it. They made all the crucial plays in these playoff wins. I
think with these playoff games, it comes down to that one play, right? It comes down to we talk about it's a game of inches. I think in all three of these games, they just got that
extra interception, right? The Tannehill interception. And
okay, one thing real quick about that Carr interception, bro. There was one person in the end zone on that play, and it was the person.
Okay, Lenny, we get it.
I'm sorry. That was just so stupid play call. That was the worst thing I've ever seen. But okay. But yeah.
All right, so they come into the Super Bowl.
They needed it.
I'm going to give – look, I don't think they played great at all. I don't think they were coached well at all in the Super Bowl. But they fought, you know. They fought.
They were chippy as heck, bro.
How do you think Joe Mixon played in the game?
I was impressed. I was like, he was finding the cutback lanes. He was powering through his tackles. I mean, it felt like whenever he just saw a hole, he would just get at least like 4 or 5 yards. I thought he played pretty good, considering especially how dominant that defensive line was and his offensive line, how bad it was playing in the game. I thought he played pretty good. Do you think
Higgins, Jamar Chase, studs?
Do you think it was a lucky run? How much lucky? How much? Okay, 1 out of 10, right? 1 being like you beat all the odds because you're just better than everybody else.
Like how much 10, luck was needed?
Yeah, 10 is like you were like not even supposed to.
This was the flukiest run of all time.
Yeah, like
I think I'm gonna take the easy road out and give it a solid 5.
A 5? I think that might be a little too not generous. I don't know. I mean, it took a really terrible like Tannehill performance for them to
maybe you could round it up to like a 6, but I'm gonna give them some credit because they actually did make these plays. It wasn't like the other team was not. The Titans game I thought was really lucky, but
yes.
The Raiders game and the Chiefs game I thought they deserved to win. So I'm not gonna give. I'll give it. It's like so I'll give it a 5, I guess, because the Titans game was lucky, but the other 2 games I don't think necessarily were. So,
I personally am gonna give it a 6.5. I'll give it my reasoning. I think this year specifically was some of the worst like teams just in general, like to make like to be in the playoffs. Like I just thought the teams they played just weren't like great. There was always something with the team that you could just exploit like heavily. Like there was just in those games for the Raiders, it was just like they just didn't have a lot of talent. They just weren't the better team in that game. They didn't have the good coach. They didn't play they didn't have to play great because they weren't playing a great team.
The Bengals were like actually the better, more talented team.
Yes. That was the only game they played in the playoffs where they were the better team. But
that they were like supposed to win, even though we both picked against them.
Yes, even though we both picked against them.
But I'm sorry. Okay, let's quickly apologize for picking against them every single round.
Yes, I apologize to Bengals fans.
I apologize to all Bengals Nation.
Yeah, I think you need to write a letter like you did with Stafford with that.
Well, I don't know if this is the best times considering they're probably pissed. They just lost Super Bowl.
We can co-sign it. We can
keep going, Lenny. Keep going.
Okay, so against the Titans, the Rams. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. The Titans were obviously the better team in that game. Like just talent perspective, I think so. But it took an absolutely atrocious offensive cast. It felt like in every single possible way, the offensive coordinator put them in like the worst position possible. Like, just in hindsight, it felt like everything went wrong in the terms of just schematic wise. And Derrick Henry coming back from injury wasn't very good. And it just took an absolutely terrible game from Tannehill for them to win the game. Right. And they only won by like 3 points. They won by a field goal. They won 19.
They won on a game-winning field goal.
They scored 19 points. I mean, like credit to your defense, because your defense did play really good. And there's a reason that Tannehill played bad. But like it took I don't know. It feels lucky, right? I don't know. If that one was
Does it feel lucky?
For me, it does. It feels like there was too many like ifs that they got their way. And then you get to the Chiefs game and you're like, okay, we've beat them before and it's not going to be like easy, but we have a chance here. And then they just get their ass kicked for 2 quarters. And then the Chiefs are like, oh man, we won the Super Bowl already. Let's just not try anymore. And then they just stopped trying. And then the Bengals were like, oh, you guys are going to stop trying? Let's just get back in the game. And then they did. And then it just felt like Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes had like the worst 2 quarters of football that Andy Reid has ever schemed up since he was in Philadelphia. Right? Or even in 2018 in the playoffs with Alex Smith, bro. That it gave me total I don't know. They were running the ball pretty good in that game. And they were just like, let's just pass downfield 50 yards like we did against the Bills, even though they're all of them are covered each time. And Mahomes just played like an absolute idiot.
Mahomes was horrible in the second half.
So to recap, right? It took you played a team that you were better than in the first round, and you lost, and you beat them by one game, the last game, the last thing, right? You beat them in the last play of the game. And then you go out to the Titans. It took an horrific offensive coordinator performance in a horrific quarterback game for you to win that game by 3. And then you go to the Chiefs, and it takes you, and you're losing 21-3 in the first half, and you climb back and you win because Patrick Mahomes and the play caller have an absolutely terrible fourth quarter and overtime performance. And then, you know what I mean? When I say it like that,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They had everything go their way.
Oh, okay. So in terms of everything going their way, I'd give it a 9.5 to a 10. But
I guess lucky and everything going.
In terms of luck, because at times I do think you do create your own luck to a certain point.
That's true.
And also, the thing with Tom Brady is, yes, he has had a lot of lucky breaks go his way, and I've bear witness to it. It's happened to my team. It's happened with my team in a Super Bowl, but he cashed in on almost all of those opportunities. Mm-hmm. So you do have to give him that at least, and the Bengals did the same thing.
That's fair. I just think there's too much for me. There's just too much for me.
All right, so these last 3 games. So, is there anything left you want to talk about for this game?
Just recap of all the players. I think legacy-wise, this impacts.
All right, so we talked about Stafford,
Jalen Ramsey. What do you think about Jalen Ramsey?
Jalen Ramsey will be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done.
Do you think he's a Hall of Famer if he loses this game? Because he played terrible. I don't think he played. No, he didn't play terrible.
But let me check his accolades real quick. So he's a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. That's already Hall of Fame level accolades.
That's the level. I would say yes. I would.
5 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pros. Now a Super Bowl champion.
I think that is All-Pro at this point, right? Not first team. First ballot.
Yeah. So he could retire today, and he may actually get in. Honestly,
I think he could. I think the Super Bowl is just the cherry on top kind of thing.
Yeah.
Eric
Cooper Kupp.
Oh, Cooper Kupp. You want to go Cooper Kupp? All right. Cooper Kupp.
I don't think he's not a Hall of Famer, obviously.
No. He's been a really good receiver as a life.
But in terms of greatest receiver seasons ever, this is up there with a couple of Moss seasons and a lot of Rice seasons.
Jerry Rice.
Smile. Let me check. Okay, so what would you say Rice's best years were?
The one where he scored 22 touchdowns was probably his most dominant year. There was one year he had 18.
All right, so in Jerry Rice in 1990.
Yes, that was
he led the league in catches, yards and touchdowns. I think that's probably his most dominant season.
That, in my opinion, as a Niners fan, that was his most dominant season.
Okay, and so Cooper Kupp outdid that. Now you got to keep in mind.
Okay, come on, that's not fair. That was like
extra game
30 years ago.
Extra game, more physical defenses. Got to keep that in mind. I'm not. Jerry Rice also had like 6 or 7 of these level seasons compared to Cooper Kupp. Moss in 98 and 07, I think, would be up here.
07, he had like 20 touchdowns or something like that.
07, 98 catch. And Moss actually, okay, here's the problem with Moss. Moss never actually led the league in catches or yards.
Really?
He led the league in touchdowns 5 times.
I'm thinking about it right now. I think the reason was because he had to share targets with Chris Carter majority of his prime. And the rest of his prime, he was playing on an offense with Tom Brady that was predicated on spreading the ball around.
You know, he did play for the Raiders.
The Raiders! Yeah, we ruined him for like 2 years.
Lenny hated Moss.
Dude, he's like, for some reason, he's in like the Raiders Hall of Fame or something. He's not the Raiders Hall of Fame, but he's like in the team store. I went down there for the Pro Bowl. Like he had like a little plaque.
Dude, Raiders fan. You don't even like the guy.
No, I don't like him at all. No, he's a fine person. I don't like hate him for a person. I just hate what he did to the Raiders. He made him like even more of a joke. Okay. Anyway, yes, Cooper Kupp had an amazing season this year. This is going to be talked about for one of the best seasons of a receiver's ever had in the near future. I don't think we're going to see this for a long time. Just a performance like this. It felt like every single game he played, he was an impact. He had an impact.
He didn't. I don't remember him having a bad game.
No, I think his bad game was when he had like 96 yards or something. I mean, like.
This was honestly kind of a down game.
It's not a bad game. I'm just saying, like, if you want to call it a bad game compared to all his other games. Give me his worst, like, statistical game.
Okay, so this year, I got to find this. So 2021.
He won Super Bowl MVP. Like, I mean, come on, bro.
It's definitely one of the best receiver seasons of all time. I don't think that's a debate.
It's top 10. For sure. I don't know. Like, I don't have like research into this or anything.
Mitch compared it to Edelman.
Oh, come on, bro. I think Edelman's a Hall of Famer for different reasons than he does.
He may get in like 100 years.
Okay, so his worst game statistically is 5 catches for 61 yards against the Cardinals.
64.
He had a touchdown in the game, which isn't like great.
Yeah,
like,
so Kupp's worst game is like average production.
Actually against the Cardinals, the second time they played in the playoffs, he went 5 for 64. He did this. He had the same stat line basically.
All right, so if I multiply it, so that's 85 catches, and what's 64 times 17?
I guess the Cardinals just kind of own Cooper Kupp. I guess that's the thing no one talks about this season. That's the one.
All right, so if Cooper Kupp had the same game he had against Arizona the entire season, he'd be on 85 catches for 1,088 yards.
Oh my God, bro! That really puts into perspective, you know, huh?
So, like, let me see where that would rank in the league here.
That would have been top 20, right? Top 15, probably.
It'd be up there.
It'd be up there. That's crazy. His worst game was like worthy of a 1,000-yard season.
All right, so he would be just with just taking the average of his worst game, he would be 24th in receptions, and he would be 19th in yards.
That's hilarious, dude.
You can't do that for anybody. I'm sorry.
That's ridiculous, bro.
All right, how does this impact Odell's legacy?
I think we could see a renaissance of just his career. I think he's always been this guy. In hindsight, I didn't think this because I never got.
He's a free agent. Do you think he'll leave?
I don't know how much the Rams are going to give him. It depends on how
the
much
Rams are, as usual, not great and with the money.
Exactly. I don't know. Okay, so Andrew Whitworth is going to retire.
Andrew Whitworth is a Hall of Famer, by the way. Just real quickly.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
Great career. Congrats to him.
Who else? Aaron Donald has a chance. I don't think.
All right, so of Hall of Famers, Ramsey, Donald, and Whitworth are surefire, and Von Miller. So there's 4 for sure. And then Matt Stafford probably will get in if he continues like this kind of production over the next couple of years. So there's a real chance there's 5 Hall of Famers out of this team.
How willing do you think the Rams are to sign back OBJ now knowing that Robert Woods is going to be back?
Here's the thing. I don't think they'll be quite as willing.
No, I don't think so.
I think they signed Odell because Woods got hurt. Honestly,
No, they didn't do. It was before that. Remember?
I know, but it was like
Odell
the
got
day
signed before
before.
Robert Woods
Woods
got hurt.
must have been injured in some way.
I think it was more like, well, I mean, like
Coincidence?
it was like, yeah, he's there. I mean, like, let's do it. Sure, why not? Like,
And then
LA
Von Miller as well, free agent.
I remember Odell was really close to signing with the Patriots.
Odell and Von Miller are both free agents.
Yeah, Von Miller, legacy wise, we've already talked about him as one of the most dominant playoff players just in general of this generation. I think this just reinforced it. This is just like an extra, like, yeah, he was the guy we saw in 2015. There is a reason he won Super Bowl MVP. Dude's a dog. Dude got 2 Super Bowls in the freaking two Super Bowls now. He's 2 for 2, and he has like freaking 5 sacks in the Super Bowl in 2 games.
He's 3-0 against Tom Brady in the playoffs.
Can any player say that? I think he's the only.
Eli's 2-0. Peyton's 3-2. Von Miller's 3-0.
There might be some like stupid backup player, but I think that's like one of the only star players that can say that, right?
3-0.
3-0. Patrick Mahomes is 0-2, right? I mean,
yeah.
Geez.
I mean, Von Miller better than Patrick Mahomes.
Von Miller is top 5, top 10 defensive Super Bowl performer of all time, probably, or playoff performer.
Do you see him coming back? He is also a free agent.
It's how willing are they to pay for? They have Leonard Floyd still. I don't know if they really want to do that. It's just a cap space thing. Do they have anyone they want to move? Do they want people? Do they have people in the building that are willing to shift their contract to make space? I don't know. I'm not in the building. I don't know who.
Let me check their cap space.
I think Jalen Ramsey might be willing to move some of his cap somewhere down the line. I think Aaron Donald might want to.
Yeah, or Matt Stafford. Like, you got to think about it for Matt Stafford. He's made a ton of money, and he also. By the way, Matt Stafford, real quickly, Georgia Bulldog. Georgia won the national championship. Rams won the Super Bowl. Just saying, and the Braves won the World Series. So all this success in a year.
The Hawks made the championship.
The Hawks made the Eastern Conference Finals. Waiting on you, Falcons, to avenge yourselves.
Arthur Smith is that guy. Tom Brady's gone.
So the Rams are currently 27th in cap space with -$8 million.
I think if every player in the organization that makes a lot of money is willing to move some stuff around, I think they bring back OBJ and Miller.
Ooh, the Raiders have $21 million.
Okay, I was gonna talk to you about that later, but yes, we are in a very good position right now. But we're not talking about the Raiders. Rams just won the Super Bowl.
Moving on to the Bengals.
How does this affect Joe Burrow's career? Well, I don't even know if he's gonna make the Super Bowl again. I know it sounds like
okay.
To say.
Let's just say, guys,
don't realistic.
If Joe Burrow does make the Super Bowl like 5 more times, don't kill Lenny on this because we have no idea how.
Guys, come on, they had 10 wins in the regular season, guys. This was a miracle run. Come on.
What may actually end up happening is the Bengals improve as a team next year, but because like the Chiefs and Bills are like pissed, they don't actually get to the Super Bowl.
Oh, dude, I didn't even think about that piss factor. Like
if both the Bills and Chiefs are going to be so like they're going to be those are way too early. This is way too early. Bills and Chiefs that's whoever wins. Whoever makes the Super Bowl out of those 2 teams will win the Super Bowl. One of those 2 teams is going to win the Super Bowl next year.
I think
Bills or Chiefs.
Thinking about it, Joe Burrow is going to be remembered for a long time just for this run. I don't care what he does for the rest of his career. He made the Super Bowl this year on a miracle run after tearing his ACL, comeback player of the year. He is going to be remembered just for this run specifically. He is a great player. He is going to be a great player for the foreseeable future. As long as he doesn't get injured, he will be awesome. And this will just be like one of those things we say, like, man, he made the Super Bowl this early in his career. Like, that's crazy. Like, regardless of what he does in the future, I don't really care. We just know right now what happened, and we're going to talk about Joe Burrow like, wow, he did that so
He
early.
will retire as the best Bengals quarterback ever.
You think so? Boomer Esiason
right, so Ken Anderson is currently the only guy that is in my top 50.
Boomer Esiason was pretty good too.
Esiason was good. Palmer was good for. I do think Carson Palmer's Bengals career gets a little overrated. Like,
he had
I don't know if his teams were necessarily as bad as people want to say because the ownership was so bad.
Mike Brown.
And he did only really have two really good seasons. Outside of that,
Carson Palmer had a good career in the Bengals. I think the Cardinals.
Andy Dalton had 5 good years too. But.
I think Ken Anderson currently is the best Bengals quarterback. I don't know what's going to happen with Joe Burrow in the future, but I think it's pretty likely at this point. But he's won MVP. You know what I mean? He hasn't won MVP yet. They've both been to Super Bowls. He won an MVP. Bottom line, at that point, you're like, okay, Ken Anderson is the better quarterback right now.
All right, Jamar Chase. He's the other headliner here.
Okay, same thing as I said with Joe Burrow. He's going to be a great player in the future. It's wow, he made the Super Bowl this young. I feel like that's all the players right now. I feel like that's all the players on the Bengals. Wow, they made the Super Bowl at this age. That's crazy, man. I think that's going to be how we see it,
bro. Okay, and then Zach Taylor, last one.
I don't know.
What is our opinion of Zach Taylor after this year?
I think Zach Taylor is a average to above average coach that is good enough to not cost their team, but not great enough to carry the team, if you know what I mean.
I think he's way better than we thought he was 6 months ago, though.
Disagree. I made a thing saying that he was comparable to Shanahan, but I always kind of thought Zach Taylor was a solid coach, but I never really said it because I have no reason. I don't have anything to prove this outside of one YouTube thing, but I never thought Zach Taylor was terrible. I always kind of thought he was okay.
To be fair, he'd never really had a good team until this year, right?
I just figured that his teams were always injured, and when I watched the Bengals, I never thought they were badly coached. That was just the way I thought about it.
You can't really judge a coach unless they're Kyle Shanahan. You can't really judge a coach unless their team's good.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, before the season, most people were like, "Oh, he sucks." He's just
unless they have a bad haircut.
He was the insert Bengals coach of the year that year. You know what I mean? Until this year. Right. I think Zach Taylor is a good enough coach to put his players in a position to succeed, but he isn't good enough to have them be amazing just based on his production as a play caller alone. You know what I mean? I think that's fair.
All right, Lenny, what were your thoughts on the halftime show? I thought it was awesome.
As a Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar.
They brought out the best
fan of the random girl, Mary Jane, or whatever the hell her name was. I thought it was really cool. I haven't watched a lot of halftime shows, but I'm
usually not a huge halftime show guy.
But I watched it and I was like, wow, this is just really cool. I was just this is really cool. It's a celebration. It was a celebration of Dr. Dre, everything that he's done in media, everything that he's done for culture. I thought that was just the main thought in my brain when I watched it. It was a celebration of Dr. Dre and everything he's done for everybody, including Tupac, 50 Cent, Eminem. Yeah, that's what I thought about it. It was cool.
All right, Lenny, is that it?
Oh, one thing. Everyone who said that Joe Burrow was Tom Brady before this freaking game, let him win a Super Bowl first. He needs to win a Super Bowl before we're crowning him as the next Tom Brady, okay? Win a Super Bowl, then we'll start talking about it, okay?
How about win 7? Not even Peyton Manning's Tom Brady. Can we stop with this? We did the same thing. Please?
We did the same thing with Patrick Mahomes in 2018, dude. We did the same.
Y'all act like, okay, yeah, you're right. It's not easy to win a Super Bowl, guys.
It's not even easy to.
You know what I read, Lenny? You know what I read, Lenny? I was reading. Okay, so I'm gonna send you some articles real quick.
Okay,
in the Discord.
All right.
So I read that. I read articles after the 2010 Super Bowl and the 2013 Super Bowl about how both the Packers and the Seahawks would become the new dynasties of the NFL, and how has that worked out? And a lot of playoff losses. I'll tell you, it's not easy to win a Super Bowl.
I think Tom Brady just made it look really easy, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, I thought
Tom Brady went 9 years without winning a Super Bowl."
Yeah, I mean, we don't.
Bro, he didn't win anything from. He won 2 AFC titles from 05 to 13.
I feel like it got to a point with Brady where people were like, "This is just ridiculous."
He won a lot early and a lot late, and that's all.
He just won a lot. Period.
No, but not in terms of Super Bowls. In the middle of his career, he had a long drought.
Yeah, he had more Super Bowls in his career than half of the teams had wins this year. So
So, yeah, it's not easy to win a Super Bowl. Stop comparing people to Tom Brady. Joe Burrow is amazing.
I
Let's
think
just
it's just
leave it
like
at that.
I have just a general complaint about fans. People are so like ready to crown fan or
People are
players.
just too reactionary to this stuff.
I want to see a player do something or a team do something before I say they're anything. You know what I mean? Like I want to give a team merit for what they did, not what for something else did. I don't want to say this is the next Tom Brady. I want to say this is Joe Burrow, the next Joe Burrow. You know what I mean?
You know who hates this comparison the most, by the way? Joe Burrow hates it the
No.
most.
Oh, Joe Burrow hates it?
I don't know that, but Joe Burrow probably does. Like, do you
Yeah,
think Joe
like he
Burrow's
doesn't have enough
legacy wants to
pressure.
be, oh, this guy was the new Tom Brady? Or do you want it to be like, oh, I'm Joe Burrow?
Imagine being like Peyton Manning and then like Eli Manning comes up, oh, next Peyton Manning, and then he wins 2 Super Bowls, whatever. Like that must be
You
like
know,
a
that was a meme for a while with Peyton before he won his second Super Bowl. It was like, Peyton has all these awards. He's led the league in all these categories. He's done so much over his career. And like, oh, but Eli's has one more Super
Eli
Bowl than
has
he
two Super
does.
Bowls, but yeah,
Peyton has one.
I think
And then he
oh,
finally won the second one, and that meme kind of died. It's
just
still funny, though, that they want to say him out.
quick
Anyway,
quick thought, just quick summary of what I'm saying. Um, Comparisons are good for like just overall understanding of a player, but to compare the career, I think it's lame. I just think it's lame. Like
if you want
players,
to just compare retired players at this point to each other.
yeah, I think that's the best kind of way to do it. Watch them have their career, then we'll talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, Lenny. Thanks for joining. I know you were very busy tonight, so I
Yes.
appreciate it. Congrats to the Rams. Congrats to the Bengals.
Well, maybe
Should
not.
be fun watching both teams go forward, and congrats to the Rams on winning their second Super Bowl.
You see Aaron Donald, he's all.
Aaron Donald's amazing. And with that, God bless. Peace.